Okay, Chris O'Connor here with Life and Entrepreneurship. And today's discussion, the $5 million deal that went wrong. Okay, thank you for tuning in. It's Chris O'Connor here with Life and Entrepreneurship. And today, like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about a major deal that I had right in my lap that went wrong. We're going to talk about what went wrong, what I did wrong, and how I could have done things better. We're going to talk about what went wrong with the team and the lack of communication and things like that. If you would, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for more content. I have a lot to share with you. All right, let's jump right in. So about 5 or 6 years ago, now I had an opportunity to work on a major project, one of many, but this one in particular, me personally, I had a $5 million budget. The reason I was at the table in the first place is because the team wanted a youthful outlook. They wanted someone who at the time was aware of the current trends and what would be trending in the future and what would kind of bring young audiences. In the beginning, everything was great. I mean, everyone had a lane, everyone was staying in that lane, and it just seemed like we were really about to do something innovative. And it wasn't that the leader was a bad leader. He was a phenomenal leader. He gave me the opportunity to sit at that table. He had run his business well, but he had friends on the team, and it's very difficult to do business with friends because sometimes it's hard to tell friends the truth. They were paying me an annual retainer as a consultant to basically consult them on how to make this project a success. We were working on the project, and I'm always pushing the limits. I want to make sure everything we do is innovative, everything we do is creative, is cutting edge, and that we're pushing the limits. So I was doing a lot of research. I did a lot of R&D, countless hours of R&D, and basically developed some concept designs for this massive attraction that we were going to have, and everyone loved it. So I was thrilled. I was on cloud nine, but we started to bump heads. And mostly it was because I was frustrated that the other ideas and other concepts coming from the other executives were not as innovative. They were not creative. I was very frustrated with that. I was very irritated by the fact that we as a team could not come up with something of our own. We could not come up with something that was innovative and special that we could put our own stamp on. Sometimes, especially when you're brought on to a team or you're working as a consultant on a team with other people, everyone at the table may not be as creative as you, but that's the whole point of a team. Everybody brings a certain value to the team within their area of expertise. That's the whole point. And my area of expertise for this particular project was creativity and how to do something innovative. Slowly but surely, some of the other people on the team started to come into my lane. And that's the worst thing that can happen to a leader, is to have people come in and start doing your job. And not because they don't think you're capable of doing it, but because they've all of a sudden gotten some interest in what it is that you do. And so instead of staying in their lane, they want to dabble in what you do a little bit. And in this case, like I said, I was the youngest person on the team. So you've got some older business leaders basically trying to bogart their way into my lane and do what it is that my team and I specialize in. And I wouldn't have it. So I believe that there were two things at play here. One was envy. Envy is a difficult thing to deal with in business, and you will absolutely deal with it. People will envy you for whatever reason. They'll envy you because you dress nice. They'll envy you because you are good at communicating and making friends. They'll envy you because you were given the opportunity. In this case, there was a lot of envy I was getting from the team. I think they were envious of the fact that I was very young. I was doing very well financially. I was being paid for this particular project more perhaps than they were being paid, or at least equivalent, and I'm half their age. I mean, you know, overall as entrepreneurs, we're happy because we get to live on our time, on our terms. But I mean, we are human. And that's what this whole page is about. It's about the human aspect, the human side of entrepreneurship. And if we're being human, we have to be honest that envy is a real thing. People get envious. Sometimes you may get envious of someone else, and a lot of times people will get envious of you. And it becomes a struggle when you have to work with those people who have already made up in their minds or have already created a character for you and made up in their minds who you are as a person before they even really get to know you. Envy is definitely a project killer. The most frustrating thing about that was the leader of the group who brought me on wasn't stepping up and defending me. He was not putting people in their place saying, look, this is Chris's lane. That is your lane, you do that. That is what you specialize in, you do that. And this is what Chris does, he will do this. And together we will come and build something great. That's what a really great leader should do. That's how a really great leader is supposed to handle the situation. But in this case, the leader had very, very, very close friends on the team. And it was just very hard for him to tell his friends the truth and to tell his friends, look, stay out of Chris's thing, you know, do your thing. There's enough to go around for everybody. Everybody's getting paid. Everybody's doing great work. He didn't say that. So when we argued back and forth about the job and whose role was what, he was silent. He wouldn't say anything about it. And it really put me in an awkward position. And it frustrated me and it angered me. And I remember lashing out and venting that anger pretty horribly at the meeting. And so I found myself really fighting to keep my place on the team. And the only thing that kept me on the team was the leader, the man that gave me the opportunity, because he saw my value and he made sure I had a place at that table. And then something terrible happened. That leader was fired from his job, and it left the rest of the team there to fight and to fend for a role in the project. And once that happened, a new leader took place, a leader who had been sitting at the table with us that I had previously had a good relationship with. The new leader took the reins, and they basically just took over everything, and it all just turned to chaos. It is very important that you feel like you're able to be honest at a table when you're doing business, especially with your own team. It's important that you're able to speak honestly without people getting offended and getting emotional about your statements. But it's also important that you learn how to communicate your honesty well, and communicate your honesty in a way that's not rude and belittling of the other people at the table. And that's where I made my mistake. I got so frustrated with the lack of innovation, the lack of creativity, that I lashed out at one of the people at the table. And I did it in front of everybody sitting at the table. And it was the truth. And it was real. Everything that I said was honest. You know, some business people will call it shrewd, because some business people do handle business that way. You know, they talk to people any kind of way, however they want to talk to them. But I just remember once I finished and I sat back and I looked around the room, everyone was kind of in shock. And the other guy didn't say much of anything. It made me look out of control. Like I couldn't control myself. I couldn't control my words and my thoughts at the time. And I really could have communicated my feelings and my ideas better. But at that point, I was really frustrated, you know. And so in business, it's important when you're talking that you don't, first of all, you don't let your personal ideas about a person you're doing business with affect how you communicate with them. The bottom line is it's about the business. It's about the success of the project. And I can laugh about it now, but gosh, damn, man, I really burned all those bridges up. I just ruined all of those relationships. You know, when you're doing business, self-control is one of the most important things. I think, you know, we get this vision of an entrepreneur that is shrewd, that is assertive, which is all good and great, but then also angry. You know, when we study entrepreneurs or we see films and movies on entrepreneurs, they talk about people being a tyrant. And some people also think that candor and being honest means that you can just crush another person's idea, crush another person's dream, and just tell them, you know, that's some bullshit, that's crap. You know, that's not how you do good business. That's not how a good leader operates. A good leader has self-control. A good leader can communicate effectively to a team. A good leader can be honest without tearing down. Be good leaders. Let's hit on the key points. First of all, let's talk about what the team did wrong. One, lack of innovation. That kills a project. If we are working on something together, it needs to be new and it needs to be innovative. It cannot be a copycat. That does not mean you have to reinvent the wheel, but you got to take the wheel and do something else with it, right? Number two, what happens when leadership changes? When the person that you have the connection with, who is the leader, the person who brought you onto the team and that is happy to have you on the team, what happens if that person leaves for whatever reason? Where does that put you? How do you step up to the plate as a leader? Three, when people cross into your lane, when you're working on a project and people begin to get in your lane and start to do what was basically tasked to you, how do you handle that situation? And finally, reacting out of emotion. How do you react in a situation where you need to confront someone and be honest? How do you speak like a leader and not lose control and come off weak and that you lack self-discipline and self-control? I had a problem with rejection. I didn't handle rejection well. And it wasn't that I was being rejected as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, but my ideas were being rejected. Everything that I worked so hard for, I stayed up all night making these concepts. I researched my ass off. And when I came to the table, you know, you're gonna put some copycat bullshit on the table and that's what we're gonna go with? I felt rejected. So not only was I upset about the lack of vision, that was a part of the frustration. But if I'm being honest, I also felt rejected. I felt like I was not being heard, my voice was not being heard, I was not being respected, my time and effort in the project was not being respected. And that bottle of energy made me lash out in a way that later I regretted. You know, it's all about emotions. You know, if you don't check your emotions, you know, unchecked emotions is what gets very, very smart, brilliant people in trouble. That's what tears up relationships. That's what burns bridges that could be a path to your success. You know, so it's important to keep your emotions in check when you're doing business, and just learn how to control yourself, learn how to communicate, learn how to listen, learn how to not speak. No matter how much it bothers you, no matter how irritated you are, it's always the better decision not to say anything. Just be quiet. And if you need to say something to someone, it's best to pull them to the side and tell them directly. Don't bust people out all in front of the team. Don't call people out and belittle them and embarrass them, because that only makes you look bad to the rest of the team, and you've ruined not only one relationship, but you've likely ruined the other relationships that you could have had at the table. So my advice again, if you have something to say, if you're really feeling passionate about something and you really need to say something, don't make a scene. Don't try to make a statement. Don't try to make an example out of anyone. Pull people to the side, tell them what you have to say, tell them how you feel, and then leave it on from there. Any action that you take out of anger is a bad action. It will not yield a good result, period. Anything out of anger. That's why it's so important to not react out of impulse, not to just lash out immediately at that time. Like some people are quick-witted, not quick-witted. Some people are quick-witted and they're able to respond quickly. I'm not that person. I need to take time and think about what it is I'm gonna say. So even in an email now, if I type up an email, I don't send it right away. I sit on it for a little while. Oftentimes I'll come back hours later or a day later, and I'll reread that email and I'll go, oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't send that email like that. You know, I need to go back and fix it up and I can communicate what I'm trying to say a little bit better. So never react out of anger, never react immediately out of emotion. Give yourself some time to calm down, to woosah, and then communicate what it is that you want to communicate. You know, as an entrepreneur, you will be challenged. And that's why we are entrepreneurs. We take the challenge, we accept the challenge. And so it's not about the challenge as much as it is how you respond to that challenge. How do you use the emotions that you get while facing the challenge? Do you use them in a way that's going to shut your team down and stunt productivity? Or do you use those emotions in a way that will empower your team and encourage people to do better, encourage people to be their best? That's the goal, right? That's what you want to do. Again, in this situation, I didn't do that. I could have used that bottled up energy to stand up and encourage people. I could have had the exact same passion, but used it in a positive way that would have encouraged everybody. I was frustrated, the team was frustrated, I was frustrated with them, they were frustrated with me, and I ended up getting booted off the project. Now, the project never happened, it never saw the light of day, so you know, it doesn't matter anyway, but the whole point is, maybe it would have happened if I had stayed on the team and had handled myself a little better and been a better leader in that situation. So let's just continue to work, continue to push yourself, continue to be better leaders. Excuse the audio. I realized my mic this whole time wasn't plugged in all the way, so you may get a little bit of echo. I'll try to fix it up a little bit, but thank you again for taking time to watch this video. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Peace.